If you have only 48 hours in Kyoto, this is the ultimate itinerary for you. Japan's former capital is packed with must-see spots, and we're taking you to the highlights. Think a hotel with your own private onsen-like experience, iconic temples and shrines, and, of course, the best food and drink spots this historic city has to offer.
Oh, and spoiler alert! We may have discovered the best ramen in Japan. But if you're feeling like balancing it out, how about a brunch featuring 12 kinds of pickled fruits and veggies? Your gut will thank you.
Join us while we explore Kyoto, and if you enjoy what you see, we'd be thrilled if you hit that subscribe button below. Bonus points if you also tap the bell.
If you look for more recommendations about beer, food and travel, we just launched a weekly newsletter where we share our favorite tastes and travels. The link is in the description box below.
Hello there, original travelers! Welcome to our video from Kyoto, Japan.
Don't forget to stay until the end to see a great food experience related to fermented food.
Cheers, everyone!
So we made our way from Tokyo to Kyoto in the Shinkansen, and if you want to see more about Tokyo, we have a full playlist of different videos in the description box below.
In Kyoto, we definitely had our best hotel experience. We had a Ryokan-inspired room, very spacious and very comfortable.
Oh, and really important, in this hotel, no shoes allowed. You will leave them at the reception desk in a small locker.
And if you would like to visit onsen, but want a bit more of a private experience, this bathtub really has got you covered.
Yeah, and even the smell of the cedarwood bathroom when you enter is amazing. After we dropped our bags, it was time to find some food.
Little did we know that we're about to find the best meal that we had in Japan.
Ramen Katamuki obviously specializes in ramen bowls. So after you have ordered your ramen bowl and your conductor's porter, a local craft beer, on the machine, you can take off your shoes and climb the stairs and go upstairs and wait for your food.
The atmosphere was super traditional, and what impressed us were the descriptions of all products they offered in the ramen place.
Those guys here are so passionate about quality in their food, they even tell you about how they prepare the water to make the ramen broth. And even more important, there's also information on how to spice up your ramen bowl.
Yuzu pepper is the way to go, of course.
The conductor's porter has a really nice malty, roasty taste, but also some residual sweetness that went perfectly well with the ramen bowl.
And I had a craft cola, and as you can see, I was happy with it. But the star of the night was just about to arrive. This was an incredibly well-balanced meal. The creaminess of the broth was just phenomenal, and you could taste the quality of the chicken in every bite.
Yeah, we've never had a broth like this. It was almost as thick as gravy and also had so much flavor. And after chicken, obviously comes heron.
As I do have a major sweet tooth, dessert had to be had. And a late-night matcha ice cream it was.
It was probably not the best matcha ice cream we've ever had, but every matcha ice cream is better than no matcha ice cream. After so much food, it was time for some walking and exploring the neighborhood. And then there was a sign for us to have a beer.
We decided to experiment with some beers from Kyoto Beer Lab.
We had an imperial chili porter and a really nice West Coast IPA.
Don't be scared by the chili, it was not too intense.
Generally, the beers here were more on the drinkability side than on the bold flavor side, but it's really nice if you crave a couple of beers.
This is a good time to let you know that if you're in Zurich, you should visit us on our own Zurich beer tour.
The next morning, we had a reservation in a place we have been looking forward to since we planned this trip. Isoism is a place that specializes in everything fermented. And you will sure be surprised if the only fermented thing you know is cucumbers.
You can enjoy a set menu of 12 different dishes and a seasonal rice bowl.
And of course, as usual in Japan, also a soup. Of course, we will not spoiler all of the dishes here. But Simona, tell them about our favorite ones.
We especially loved the tomato and the pumpkin, which were fermented but also very sweet, not very sour. And the salmon rice bowl was incredibly delicious.
Seats here are limited, so be sure to make a reservation, as usual in Japan.
After we filled our bellies, it was finally time to do some sightseeing.
Yeah, we went a little bit less original travel-y this day, but the Inari Shrine is a must when you are in Kyoto. The shrine is really crowded, but as soon as you start to climb, the higher you get, the less people there are. And here you can see the mandatory shots of the 1000 torii gates.
The walk up the mountain takes about 2 hours, but don't worry, there are different stops along the way. There are many cafes where you can enjoy local products.
And as the foodies we are, obviously we had to try some of it. And no, this was not part of Hulk's brain, this is actually matcha jelly. The views while you walk up are really amazing, and we heard that the further you go up, they're even more beautiful, but we only made it about halfway.
We were still able to enjoy a lot of beautiful shrines and the local celebrities.
I mean, when was the last time you saw a cat that had its own merch store?
Bonus points if you know what the frog symbolizes here.
If you do, let us know in the comments below. And then we made our way through some traditional parts of Kyoto to the Gion district. This is the part of Kyoto that is famous for geishas.
Hi everyone, we wanted to give you a little bit of our impression from the city. We're now in Kyoto. It's really much more relaxed than Tokyo is. We came here from Tokyo with the Shinkansen or the bullet train. Yeah, it feels much more traditional. Kyoto is actually the former capital of Japan, so you can totally feel that in the way that the architecture looks like. People are much more easygoing, this is our impression. And of course, if you have a sweet tooth or love matcha, this is the best place to be in Japan. They have amazing local desserts and a lot of different matcha combinations.
Yeah, so food places here are also generally really interesting, but what we found out is that it's sometimes a bit hard here to get a spot in a restaurant. So some of the restaurants make you wait outside in a queue, which is fine, so you know you're gonna have your take as soon as there's space. But others make it really difficult for you to make a reservation, so you have to be queuing in the morning, get your ticket, and then come back at a certain time and take your position in the queue. And they have a lot of motorbikes here. That's really a thing we saw as well. And but the food is really good. I think it feels a lot more like hidden jammy here. So a lot of the places we found in Tokyo didn't really feel like that. But yeah, it's much more quiet. It's really chill. A lot of hip places, good beer as well. A lot of tourists. It feels a lot more because it's smaller. You can feel the tourism a lot more. So when we arrived in the quarter that we are in, is only hotels, and we only saw basically Western people. But yeah, if you go a little bit outside, you will find some really cool local places. So check the city out. Cheers, everyone.
We went on a hunt for local delicacies, and the first thing we found was a really cool shop with spices.
As we mentioned, sweets are king in Kyoto.
You can spend hours and hours in this part of the city and try dozens or even hundreds of different treats, if you have enough space.
Sweet shops usually get inspired by the season, and you get a lot of interesting products according to the time of the year. For example, chestnuts or pumpkin or matcha as always. Best place to enjoy your sweets is around the Kamo River.
Talking about the Kamogawa, we have a book tip for you. The Kamogawa Food Detectives. This book will definitely bring you in the right mood for your next Kyoto trip. If you want to learn more about the area and its history, you can book a tour. There are plenty of tours here, and we decided to go for a free tour that took place during the night. We also learned a lot about the geishas and the difference between Geikos and Maikos. If you know the difference, let us know in the comments below. There are areas in this district where you're not allowed to take pictures or film, so we would like to ask you to stick to the rules.
The beauty of the many shrines and temples of Kyoto really shines through the night. And isn't the 7-story pagoda just legendary?
Hey, come on, Kyoto is really beautiful. Why the long faces? This is once again a bit more of a touristy part of the city, but it was really important for us to learn about the history. Hey, and we even spotted some wild totoros. If you are interested to see a geisha ceremony, there is the cultural show held every day at Gion Corner. And then we wanted to eat at this fantastic looking curry place.
But not everything goes always to plan.
Yep, but luckily we stumbled upon Hanamichi, a teppanyaki restaurant specializing in yakisoba and okonomiyaki.
I had a chuhai, which is Japanese wine with soda, and Sandro had, guess, a beer.
We ordered some starters, some yakisoba, and obviously some okonomiyaki. And we were in the front row to see the chef prepare our food.
You'd be surprised, but the cheesy potatoes were actually a huge highlight.
And then we finally had our first okonomiyaki in Japan.
We enjoyed a Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki with bacon, egg, and lots of cabbage.
And you know how it works for us. After food, there is beer. The guys at Shalara Craft Beer were about to close, but there was one last round, and we got ourselves a flight of the most interesting sounding beers. Our two standouts here were the Midsummer Night's Dream, a Belgian honey ale that was sweet and aromatic, and the Dub Tomato Dread, a funky tomato sour that had us reminiscing about the growing tomato sour gose trend we're seeing everywhere around the world.
We were not about to leave Kyoto without one last traditional breakfast.
To be honest, we didn't know what half of the stuff is, but everything was really tasty and good quality.
Saving the best for last, while the bamboo forest is one of the most popular destinations in Kyoto, we decided for something else.
Yes, we were looking for a bit more quiet experience and a bit less queuing. Saihoji, or more commonly known as Kokedera, is one of Kyoto's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And to be able to enter, you will need a reservation in advance.
This temple is actually called the Moss Temple, and the reason for it is that it's home to 120 different types of moss.
But before you get to see the moss, you're asked to contribute to the observances of Kito and Shakyo, which is the copying of Buddhist scriptures.
Which has a very relaxing and meditative effect.
Which you could also say about the rest of the temple area. So while you guys are enjoying the beautiful scenery, let me tell you a bit about how to reach this beautiful temple. You could take a bus, which takes you about an hour, so it might be worth taking a Go taxi if you're in a hurry.
The middle of October might be a little bit early for the full autumn colors, but if you do come a bit later, you will probably be able to enjoy them. The Moss Temple was still incredibly fascinating, in green as well.
And then it was time for us to leave for our next city.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video from Kyoto in Japan.
And now, as usual guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check out our Patreon for a map with all of the places of this video. Cheers everyone!
Our bonus tip for Kyoto is matcha in every form you can think of. Ice cream, tea, cookies, whatever you can find, this is the place for matcha.